Hey guys, and welcome back to another chapter of From Ashes to a New Beginning, written by Stacey Holt, which is me. Artwork was by Pastelkittygoreart, otherwise known as Maddie Kitty 1997 on DeviantArt. You can find her links below. Again, if you are enjoying it so far, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to leave a comment. As for my voice actors, Darkstorm009 will be voicing Adrien and Cat Noir. I will be voicing Marinette, Ladybug, and the Narrator. Albrazikio will be voicing Gabriel and Hawkmoth. Catherine will be voicing Natalie and Mayura. TitaniumKitten will be voicing Plag and Luka. Etsu will be voicing Tikki. And Maddie will be voicing Kagami. As always, I decided to surprise you with my new word or words, or sentence, I was going to say. This time I went with someone who commented it in the comment section under the poll. So here it goes. Ara ara. It just keeps going downhill from here, so be prepared. Yeah. Alright, now, back to chapter 34. I love you. Hawkmoth turned around from the light and saw that Marinette was Ladybug. His eyes widened and looked to Mayura, who was also still in shock from the newly acquired information. Marinette turned toward Riposte and pushed the sword that was pressed to her neck away from her, causing Riposte to stumble backwards. Riposte was also still in shock that Marinette was Ladybug. Ladybug jumped toward Cat Noir and landed beside him, fists ready to fight. Her eyes being fixed on Hawkmoth and Mayura, she got in her battle stance, but was caught off guard by arms being wrapped around her. She looked at who was hugging her, and found Cat Noir curled around her, almost on the brink of tears. She didn't know if it was excitement that she was Ladybug, or the fact that she was alright. "Cat, later!" Ladybug groaned, trying to pry him off of her.
My lady, you're LB? Why didn't you tell me? It's been you the entire time?
Cat whined. "Cat, let me go! We need to focus! Lucky charm!" Ladybug said, throwing her yo-yo up after getting him off of her. Cat watched as a crumbled up piece of paper fell from the sky and landed in her hands. Ladybug looked around, but didn't see anything to use for it.
You're going to defeat Hawkmoth, Mayura, and Riposte with a crumpled up piece of paper?
Cat questioned.
How realistic. Very convincing, Ladybug. You might as well give up now and give us your Miraculous.
Hawkmoth laughed.
Hawkmoth, we know her identity.
Mayura reminded him.
Yes. How interesting for us. We know the identity of LB, and we know the parents of LB as well now. How unfortunate if they were to, experience an unfortunate flight in the next week or so.
Hawkmoth smiled devilishly. How do you... Marinette's eyes widened.
We know a lot about your family, Marinette. Once we knew that you were dating Cat Noir, we did our research on your family. Cat Noir and Ladybug were going to give us a Miraculous to save Marinette, or Marinette's family, one way or another.
Hawkmoth laughed.
Flight? The US?
Cat said, looking at LB. You wouldn't do that, Ladybug protested.
Oh, but I would. Give me your Miraculous, or your parents won't survive that flight.
Hawkmoth glared. I won't let them on the flight then. Ladybug gripped her fist, fighting back tears.
You think that'll stop me from getting what I want? I know where they live. It was on the news you posted online where you were living.
Hawkmoth sneered. Marinette closed her eyes, clenching her teeth, trying to figure something out. Mom, Dad, Ladybug whimpered. feeling like she had failed Master Fu. This was the ultimate reason why they had to keep their identities a secret. Their loved ones' lives were now on the line. It was all her fault. If she didn't date Cat Noir, her and her family wouldn't have been a bargaining chip. How could she get everyone out of this safely and make up for it?
LB, you're the guardian. What do we do? We can't let them hurt your family.
Cat asked, giving her a frown. I don't know what to do, Ladybug said in a whisper. My mind is going blank. Hawkmoth narrowed his eyes and looked toward Riposte. He waved his hand and she was surrounded by a purple mass, returning her back to normal. Ladybug and Cat Noir watched confused as Hawkmoth walked over to Kagami.
If you both can't make a decision, I will help you choose one,
Hawkmoth said, picking Kagami up by the shirt.
Hey, what are you?
She said, looking at who picked her up, but went quiet when she saw it was Hawkmoth. Hawkmoth walked over to the edge of the roof and saw Ladybug and Cat Noir's faces turn from confusion to worry and anger.
Hawkmoth, don't!
Cat yelled. Don't do this! Ladybug yelled. Without another word, he let go of Kagami's shirt. Screams echoed their ears as Kagami started falling to the ground.
You have until she hits the ground to make a decision,
Hawkmoth smirked. Ladybug looked at Cat Noir and nodded to him, and then started running toward Kagami, but was met with Mayura standing in her way.
You won't get to her in time if we fight. If you want to save her, we want the Miraculous,
Mayura said. Ladybug grit her teeth, knowing that she would have to outsmart them, but she didn't have time to come up with a plan when Kagami was falling to the ground. Let me save her, Ladybug said. Cat Noir, stay here.
But my lady...
Cat, it will be all right. I will save her. I'm Ladybug after all. Ladybug smiled, reassuring him. Mayura looked at Hawkmoth and he nodded to her. Mayura let Ladybug pass. Cat wanted to go with Ladybug to save Kagami, but knew that only one of them could leave at a time. Cat glared at both of them. When did they get so cruel? They would kill an innocent girl to get what they wanted? Ladybug jumped off of the side of the roof and tossed her yo-yo and wrapped it around Kagami. Kagami looked up as she felt the string wrap around her. Ladybug yanked it toward her, letting Kagami hit her body as she collided into her. Hang on to me, Ladybug instructed. Kagami did as she asked, and Ladybug untangled Kagami from her yo-yo. She then tossed it to another building just in the nick of time. She swung them to safety and let Kagami down to her feet.
Thank you, Ladybug. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sorry that I let my jealousy get out of hand. I need to apologize to my friends.
Kagami sighed. Go and find shelter. This isn't over yet. Everything will be okay soon. Ladybug smiled comfortingly.
Are you gonna use that?
Kagami asked, seeing the crumpled up piece of paper. Yes, I think I know exactly what it means. Ladybug smiled, opening it. Ladybug waved Kagami goodbye and rushed off. A few minutes later, Ladybug returned. Cat turned to look and saw Ladybug beside him.
Is she safe?
He asked, seeing Ladybug nod.
Why do you have the miracle box? You have a plan, right?
Cat said, wide-eyed and frantic. I do, but you aren't gonna like it, she said, leaning toward him, whispering into his ear, holding the miracle box in her hands.
You brought us all of the Miraculous? We should have been more clear. We want the Ladybug and Cat Miraculous only. Hawkmoth, this has to be a trick.
Mayura glared. I was never going to give you any Miraculous. I only agreed to your terms to save Kagami. You should have known that. Even you can't be that ignorant. I brought the miracle box to ask if you would give us yours. Ladybug glared.
As we have said before, we know where you live and know who your parents are. You really want to ask for ours? You have no leverage.
Hawkmoth laughed.
LB, this wasn't part of your plan, was it?
He said, not falling for it. I'm sorry, Cat, Ladybug said, uncrumpling the piece of paper that matched her piece of paper that he had given to her in the office. They both had I Love Cat Noir as the password written on it. Cat looked at Ladybug, and his eyes shot open in disbelief. She wasn't thinking what he was thinking, was she? There was no way. No way would she do that. He wouldn't let her.
LB, no! You can't!
Cat yelled, taking hold of both of her shoulders. I love you, Cat Noir. Ladybug smiled through the tears, and she kissed his cheek. She threw her lucky charm into the air, fixing the damages that had been made.
Ladybug, Marinette, stop. Don't tell me you're...
Hawkmoth and Mayura watched closely, having no clue what they were arguing about. I, Marinette Dupancheng, hereby relinquish the Miracle Box and name Cat Noir the new guardian, Ladybug said, letting the Miracle Box float from her hands into the air. Ladybug started to illuminate, and then went flying onto the ground as she de-transformed. Cat Noir jumped toward Marinette, catching her before she hit the ground. The Miracle Box was now locked, and transformed into a new box, ready to be opened by Cat Noir. It gently landed on the ground beside them, as Cat Noir brushed Marinette's hair out of her face as he frowned. Hawkmoth and Mayura exchanged angry expressions. Hawkmoth nodded to Mayura to proceed. Mayura quietly started to walk toward Cat Noir. She was going to try and take advantage of the situation, and take his Miraculous while he was holding Marinette. Cat Noir quickly turned his head and looked at Mayura and Hawkmoth, who were making their way to him and Marinette. He glared at them with his most piercing gaze.
You even try coming near her, or her family, and I will turn this city upside down to find you.
Cat glared, not letting go of Marinette.
Who says she'll even like you anymore? She won't even remember you.
Hawkmoth smirked. Hawkmoth turned around and took his leave, knowing that he couldn't get the Miraculous even if he wanted to. He and Mayura could outnumber him, yes, but Cat Noir was in much better shape for fighting than they were. The years have taken a toll on Hawkmoth and Mayura, but Cat Noir has grown up. They could use their power over and over now without de-transforming. They aren't kids anymore. They were stronger. Hawkmoth and Mayura also had no leverage now. Cat watched Hawkmoth and Mayura disappear, and after they disappeared, he turned back to Marinette. He looked down at her. She lay tenderly in his arms. He leaned his head down on top of her and cried out his frustrations until he heard a familiar voice.
Cat Noir,
Tikki said.
She lost her memories? Just like Master Fu?
Cat said, looking up at Tikki.
I'm afraid so. I'm sorry, Cat Noir. I wish there was something I could do.
Tikki said with a frown, looking down at Marinette, who laid in his arms, trying to fight back her own tears.
She won't remember me?
Cat asked, his voice shaky. Tikki went quiet, not sure how to respond.
Let's just take her home,
Cat said, feeling the silence instead of letting Tikki answer his own question.
Take her earrings out before she wakes up,
Tikki said. Cat looked up at Tikki with a shocked, saddened expression. He had forgotten that he would have to do that. It hadn't crossed his mind. Cat grit his teeth, but took her earrings from her and carried her home, letting the tears slide down his cheeks. He jumped through his window and found himself inside his bedroom once again. He laid her down in his bed and sighed. The Miracle Box was laying in her arms as he carried her, but he took it from her once he sat her on the bed. He looked over to Tikki with a concerned face.
What do I do with this? I was never trained to be the guardian. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Adrien said, looking down at the Miracle Box in his hands as he de-transformed.
Adrien, just breathe. It will be okay. Marinette did this because she trusts you.
Tikki said, hugging his cheek. Adrien took a deep breath and gave her a soft smile after recollecting his thoughts. He sat the box down on the little couch and looked back at Marinette, who still laid asleep on his bed. Adrien slowly walked over to Marinette and sat down beside her on the bed. He watched her take a few breaths and rubbed her cheeks softly with his hand.
Tikki, does it usually take this long for guardians to wake up? Master Fu woke up after a few seconds.
Adrien asked worriedly. Tikki sat down beside Marinette and frowned, not sure why she wasn't waking up either.
They normally wake up right after. I don't know what happens to the minds of guardians, so I couldn't tell you, kid.
Flag interrupted, floating over and landing beside Tikki.
I'm sure she will be fine, Adrien. She's a strong girl.
Tikki gave him a reassuring smile. About 30 minutes passed and she still hadn't woken up. Adrien, Tikki, and Plag lay down beside Marinette. Eventually, they had all drifted off to sleep beside her, curled up in the blankets. Meanwhile, Marinette was walking inside a dark room inside of her mind, searching for a way out. There were no walls or roads. There was just darkness. "Hello?" Marinette called out.
Hello.
A voice called back. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, you can go check out some of my other videos like Thunderstorms, which is Season 1, Downpour, which is Season 2 of Thunderstorms, The Butterfly That Brought Us Together, and so on. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!